Okay, so making a persuasive argument. I mean, this is kind of the core of what we do as lawyers. We need to persuade a court, a jury, an opposing attorney, and sometimes we have to persuade our clients. And it's a very broad topic. There's a lot of things we could talk about. I just have a couple of thoughts about what I find is important ingredients into making a persuasive argument. The first thing I would say about that is, and this is probably true in every skill set that you develop as a lawyer, your argument must be well thought out. Right, so after you've looked at all the facts, you've read all the documents, you've interviewed any witnesses that are applicable, you've looked at the law, you're ready to put your argument together. I sit down and just, when nobody else is around, I just think about it. Before you start drafting an outline or preparing a brief or whatever you're doing, just take a minute and ask yourself, what am I trying to accomplish here? What are my arguments? What are the counter arguments? If you think that through carefully enough, and it doesn't take a lot of time, that really adds to the persuasiveness, because sometimes we get lost either in the facts or in the law. We get excited if there's, we have a case that's on point, and sometimes you lose the picture of the forest for the trees. You really have to step back. That's the first thing I would say. And the second thing I would say about a persuasive argument, and I don't want this to be misunderstood, because obviously you are presenting your case in the best light possible for your client in your case. I'm not saying that you should just concede things all the time or admit when the other side is right. Not saying that. But what I am saying is that there are going to come times where the facts of the case do not fit in within the law, or there's something about your case that is negative, and it's obvious that it is, okay? It's obvious to you, it's obvious to your opponent, it's obvious to the court, it's obvious to the jury, whatever it might be. There's a certain degree of credibility that is given to an argument where you're sort of admitting those those concessions. Now, trial lawyers do this all the time in trials. For example, in a criminal trial, let's say a prosecutor has the key witness, and the key witness is a convicted felon, okay? What they do first, in their case, they come right out and say, yeah, my client is not a Boy Scout here. He or she is convicted of these felonies, and I'm not going to try to hide that from you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I want you to know that now. Why does he do that? Why does she do that? Because it's going to come out anyways, and you don't want your opponent to bring it out. You want to bring it out. Why? Because it gives credibility to the jury. They're saying this guy or this person, this girl is being upfront with us. He told us that this was a felon. Same thing with arguments. You're not conceding everything, but when there's a flaw that's so apparent, you're making a mistake if you think you're covering it up. Because first of all, you're not covering it up anyways. Everybody's going to know it. And there are certain lawyers that I deal with that they're always right, their case is always right, the facts are always right, their clients are always right. Well, that can't be true. In my opinion, and I think in any other opinion of any other lawyer, that lawyer loses some credibility because he or she does not concede when things need to be conceded. So that's an important one. And then the last thing I would say is one of the flaws in being persuasive is overstating your case, okay? Maybe sometimes you will have, facts that have very strong elements to them. Let's say you're in a consumer litigation case and you have an egregious violation of civil rights or any federal statute. If it really is egregious, you're selling it as such. This is the worst violation that I have ever seen, something like that. But those cases don't come along very often. If you're always overstating the case, if you're always saying this is the worst that I've ever seen, again, you've lost all credibility either with the court or with your opposing counsel. And there are lawyers like that. And so when they come in and say, this is outrageous, this is the worst I've ever seen, My thought is, yeah, you say that all the time. So it's like the boy who cried wolf. Try not to overstate your case. And fourth, I would say, we've talked about this in other videos, over prepare. If you're prepared on the facts, you're prepared on the law, your argument has a much stronger persuasive element to it. So if you keep those 4 tips in mind, I think that'll help you in putting together persuasive arguments.